Vala knows when that drone is up. She does not like it. Vala, come on. Watch. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. I was in the middle of recording this video in Ohio when all of a sudden I realized...
Tonight, there's a new threat from those devastating and deadly wildfires. About 9 million people across much of Los Angeles and Ventura counties under a new red flag warning and on alert for more dangerous fire weather conditions. The emergency is not over. This fire NATO captured on camera in the Pacific Palisades. Evacuations expanding tonight. Thousands of homes and businesses destroyed. At least 11 people killed.
So I've been paying close attention to the news out in the Los Angeles area. And most of you may not realize, but I do have a connection to Los Angeles. I was born and raised there. And it's absolutely devastating to see the news and hear about everything going on. And while a lot of the fires are burning in very wealthy areas, it's very easy to just say, well, they're wealthy, they can afford it, or they have insurance, the insurance company will figure it out. But is it really any less sad if somebody that lives in a $5 million home loses literally everything they've ever had and worked for versus somebody that lives in a $50,000 home that burns to the ground and they lose everything they've ever worked for?
This looks like the apocalypse, to be honest with you. It just doesn't feel like the normal things that happen in your life. This is something very unusual about what's going on, in my humble opinion right now. It's just such a horrible sight to see. All of these years, my childhood was in this home. I learned to swim. My children. Usually the fires don't come down out of the mountains. But with the wind was its own entity, if that makes any sense. It was like it had a mind of its own. Like we were evacuating, the fire hadn't even come over that hill yet. And it just, in like 2 hours, it came over and down.
I mean, I remember seeing embers just shooting over my head like, oh my gosh, that's somebody's house. That's someone's like property. Just balls of fire. You know, there's nothing no one could do. They were just stretched too thin. You know, by the time firefighters from different counties got here, it was just too late for us, you know. So I don't hold any grudges.
I had anxiety really bad. I didn't think I could make it, but then when the fire started getting close, my brother, my friend, and me, we grabbed shovels. The county turned off our water supply. So we're out there with shovels throwing dirt on fires. We saved, I think, 3 neighbors' houses. so far, but the fires are still moving towards our house.
I prefer funny and happy videos, but today we're going to be very serious. Imagine you are woken up by the police and you have to leave your home right now. If you were lucky, you had 2 minutes to get dressed and pack some clothes. Likely, you left with nothing, not even your pets. The wind is relentless, and there is so much smoke in the air, it hurts to breathe. Your neighbor's house is on fire. You're not sure if they got out.
Evacuation of this area is required. Follow evacuation route instructions. Listen to radio and television for details. Esta área debe ser evacuada de emergencia. Siga las evacuation route instructions. Listen to radio and television for details. Esta área debe ser evacuada de emergencia. Siga las instrucciones.
Disbelief, confusion. Your fear and your anxiety are now in control. Where do you go? Who do you call? Did you have time to grab your cell phone? Is it even charged? The power is out everywhere. Are cell phones even working? Are you able to drive to your family or friends without Google Maps? Everything is gone. Everything. You've heard all of these sounds before. The smoke alarm when you burn something in your kitchen. The crackling of a campfire with your friends. The wind. Today, they are deafening, and you'll never feel the same about them again. My next question is, what the fuck happened?
All right, welcome back. As these wildfires spread across Southern California, we know that many environmentalists right now are sounding the alarm on the role that climate change is playing in fueling some of these fires. Joining me with more on this is Chad Hansen, who's a wildfire scientist and fire ecologist with the John Muir Project and author of Smokescreen: Debunking Wildfire Myths to Save Our Forests.
Yeah, it is. It's a combination of factors that are all coming together at the same time and creating these really, really dangerous conditions. We have a fall and early winter where there's been very, very little precipitation. We have these really dry winds coming at incredible speeds with the Santa Ana winds coming off the deserts and coming down those canyons at hurricane force. And we have communities in the way. We have these fires that are close to communities, and many communities have already been severely impacted. So yeah, it is that kind of circumstance that doesn't come along that often, fortunately, but it is happening more often because of climate change. That is a factor here.
That's interesting. Let's see what scientists have to say about these Santa Ana winds. Here's a video from the Weather Channel 9 years ago.
The Santa Anas are dry and hot winds that start when a high-pressure-driven cold front moves into Nevada's Great Basin. It pushes air down and to the west toward low-pressure areas on the Southern California coast. As the air descends from altitudes of up to 8,000 feet, it's compressed and heats up by 5 degrees for every 1,000 feet it sinks, reaching temperatures as high as 100 degrees. Simultaneously, as the air channels through the mountain passes and canyons of the coastal ranges, it's squeezed, which causes it to accelerate and move even faster. The effect is similar to partially covering the nozzle of a garden hose, causing the water to spray out up to 6 times faster than it moves inside the hose. As the winds shoot out from the canyons, they can develop gust speeds up to 70 miles an hour. This means the winds could broadside a loaded semi-truck with more than 8,600 pounds of force, or enough to overturn it. But what makes the Santa Anas most dangerous is that they are extremely dry, with humidity as low as 5%. That's about 3 times less than the average humidity in some deserts. Now, combined with the heat, this lack of moisture can actually parch vegetation and turn it into fuel for wildfires. In fact, at times the Santa Anas have spread wildfires at speeds of up to 5,000 acres per hour. In effect, torching areas larger than the city of San Diego in less than 2 days. And you've been Brainstorm. Sam Champion, The Weather Channel.
Okay, so climate change is having no direct impact on Santa Ana winds, frequency, or strength. So are the fires we are having today worse or better than before?
Now, go to 2023. If I were to ask you total number of acres of wildfire in America, where would you rank it on how bad last year was in the last 25 years? What would you say? Would you say the worst? Maybe the second worst? Maybe the third worst? What if I told you in 2023, it's the least amount of acres of wildfire in the last 25 years. Let me give you the data here so you can verify it. According to National Interagency Fire Center, last year, we had roughly 2.693 million acres of wildfire. Go to the last year, 7.5, 7.1, 10 million acres, 2020. Then it's 4.6, 8.7, 10 million acres in 2017. Then it's 5 million, 10 million acres in 2015, 3.5, 4.3, 9.3, 8.7, 3.4, 5.9, 5.2, 9.3, 9.8, 8.6, 8 million, 3.9, 7.1, 3.5, 7.3, 5.2. The last time we had fewer acres of wildfire in America was in 1998. That means 25 years. It's been the lowest ever. Yet, this great state of California thinks, guess what? We're going to force you. You better do this or else. So guess what insurance companies are doing? Let me give you stories. May of 2023, State Farm announced it would no longer accept new business and personal property and casualty applications. All states...
All right, homie, slow your roll. We're going to get to the insurance thing in just a minute.
Let's examine the largest of these fires. The Palisades fire, as mentioned, began at 10:30 a.m. local time on Tuesday. This image, captured just 15 minutes after the fire was first reported, already shows its intensity from the sky. The fire quickly ballooned throughout the afternoon, raging between the beach towns of Santa Monica and Malibu. By midnight, it had consumed nearly 3,000 acres, destroying numerous buildings and homes, so many, in fact, that officials are still struggling to determine the full extent of the damage. The cause of the fires has not yet been identified. However, what we do know is that they have been supercharged by fierce, dry winds blowing in from the northeast. These winds, known as the Santa Ana winds, accelerate as they hit the mountainous terrain around Los Angeles. This can be seen in the striking bands of pink and purple on weather maps, indicating the areas affected by these devil winds. The Santa Ana winds also drastically reduce humidity levels, drying out the land and making it more flammable. With wind speeds reaching up to 60 miles per hour, these conditions are so extreme that firefighting planes have been unable to take off. Fire chiefs describe the combination of low humidity, dry soil, and strong winds as creating some of the worst fire conditions imaginable. Southern California recently experienced an exceptionally hot summer with almost no rainfall during what should now be the wet season. This map illustrates the rainfall of the past 60 days compared to the average for this period. The brown areas around Los Angeles highlight regions that have received virtually no rain, leaving the land parched and highly flammable. This combination of factors has created a dire situation for thousands of Los Angeles residents, many of whom have been forced to flee their homes. But there were also significant funding issues that may have hampered the firefighting efforts. A potentially leaked letter from LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley, dated December 17, 2024, warned Mayor Karen Bass about the repercussions of recent budget cuts. According to the letter, the $17 million reduction in the department's budget had severely limited the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires. This warning highlights the critical role that sufficient funding plays in maintaining readiness for natural disasters and other emergencies. The letter raises important questions about the impact of financial decisions on public safety, especially in a state like California, which is prone to wildfires.
Hills. Joining me now live, the chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department, Kristen Crowley. Most of the criticism has been directed towards the city of Los Angeles, towards Mayor Karen Bass, but it's also been directed towards the administration. Everybody loves firefighters. Mm-hmm. We love our men and women on the front lines.
I tell you, my reaction first and foremost is to step back and remind myself that I'm not a politician. I'm the fire chief of the greatest fire department in the world. So my focus, first and foremost, is to make sure that our fire department, our firefighters are properly funded, they're properly trained, they're properly equipped. So when it comes to the criticism, since day one, my number one priority has been and will continue to be that our firefighters get what they need so that they can serve the community. That is number one. I am going to turn down the noise when it comes to any type of criticism, because every decision that I make is going to be based off of what my firefighters need.
The budget, there's so much talk about it. It was cut $17 million, it was cut this, it wasn't cut at all, according to one newspaper. Was your budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 cut?
I can tell you, I'm going to even go back further than that. Again, since day one, we've identified huge gaps in regard to our service delivery and our ability from our firefighters, boots on the ground, to do their jobs. Since day one, this is my third budget as we're going into 25-26. What I can tell you is we are still understaffed, we're still under-resourced, and we're still underfunded. So with that, whether it's $7 million, $10 million.
But was the budget cut, Chief?
Yes, it was cut, and it did impact our ability to provide service.
All firefighters are very brave, and while this firefighter may not be running into a burning building, what she just did was extremely brave.
Let's talk about that memo. You sent a memo, a scathing memo, to the Board of Fire Commissioners where you expressed your concern that you were not going to be able to do your job. Your firefighters would not be able to respond adequately to a major emergency like a wildfire, like what we're seeing right now.
Right. So understanding where our services gaps are, number one, is understanding where our firefighters need in regard to their equipment. Now, let's focus back on what our people need, and what they need to be is properly funded and equipped. Our firefighters are running over 1,500 calls. They're transporting 650 patients a day on a normal day, let alone the last 3 days of what we've had with significant impacts that have changed the communities that we serve, their lives forever.
In December, you wrote that memo. You said that these budget cuts were going to severely affect your department, from everything from brush clearance checks to make sure homeowners were doing what they needed to do, to fire hydrant checks. And yet you heard the mayor just yesterday say, no, those cuts did not affect
the ability to serve, and would not have changed anything in this situation. What is going through your mind? And I know this is difficult. There are a lot of politics at play. You are not a politician. You are the woman responsible for all these men and women at LA City Fire and for our residents in the city of Los Angeles. When you hear the mayor say it didn't affect anything at all, what is going through your head?
The amount of calls that our firefighters are running today has doubled since 2010, a 55% increase with 68 less people. Full transparency, this isn't a new problem for us. Since the 3 years that I've been in the seat, I've sounded the alarm to say we need more. This is no longer sustainable. We are screaming to be properly funded to make sure that our firefighters can do their jobs so that we can serve the community that we took an oath.
Does it make you mad?
I don't know if it makes me mad. In the end, that is my job as a chief, to make sure that my voice is heard and my voice is amplified from the needs of what our people need to do their job.
So tell the city, tell the residents, tell the people that are out there. I mean, thousands and thousands of people have lost their homes, and they're looking to blame someone, and it's not the Santa Ana winds necessarily. Right. They are looking to blame administrators.
Right.
What is your message to city administrators, starting with Mayor Bass?
My message is the fire department needs to be properly funded.
And it's not.
It's not at this point, and we've got the justification. We know where our gaps in service are. We know we need 62 new fire stations. We need to double the size of our firefighters. The growth of this city since 1960 has doubled, and we have less fire stations.
Let's repeat that, because those numbers are a little jarring. 20 years ago, you had more fire stations than you have now?
We had 112 fire stations. Now we have 106. And since 2010, we've had an increase, doubled our call volume, which is firefighters responding to calls, 55% increase with 68 less firefighters.
Tell me what I'm looking at. This is memo after memo after memo, including to the Board of Fire Commissioners, where you pointed out your concern that you were not going to adequately be able to respond to a wildfire, an earthquake, everything that we see precisely in this city.
I identified early, my team identified early, labor identified early that we have service gaps. So when you talk about sounding the alarm and asking and requesting budgets that are easily justifiable based off of the data, real data, shows what the fire department needs to serve this beautiful city and the beautiful community that we swore that we would.
Do you believe, had your budget concerns been properly addressed in the new fiscal year, would we have seen the same outcome that we are seeing now with thousands and thousands, unprecedented numbers of structures, homes, businesses lost? Would the outcome have been different if they had listened to you?
I do believe if we would have set ourselves up appropriately over the past 3 years, we would have been in a better position of what had happened here in the city, where we lost homes and we lost lives. That's why I'm talking to you right now. The fire department needs to be funded appropriately so that I can look any community member in the eye and say, your LAFD's got your back.
And you have injured firefighters too, and you see those homes that have burned to the ground. There is so much loss. People are out of jobs. What goes through your heart when you see that?
The community is our community. Our firefighters stand with the community. We live in the communities that burned.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
At the risk of her position, which includes a salary of over $400,000 per year, Chief Crowley just blew the whistle on the city of Los Angeles.
Chief Kristen Crowley, I believe the anchors wanted to ask a question back there, had some comments.
We do, Gigi. If you could please ask her regarding the Times article that came out that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was closed to repairs and it was empty. 117 million gallons of water could have been used in this fight.
When a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants. Please defer that to DWP or whomever controls that part.
This was supposed to be the water to put out the Palisades fire. This is the Santa Ynez Reservoir. It's the water supply basically for the Palisades. When they first started fighting the Palisades fire, they ran out of water extremely quickly. Wednesday, 3 a.m., they were basically out. And there's been a lot of talk on why this happened. So how long has this reservoir been empty for? Since February of last year.
So, there's no water pressure because somebody in the state turned the power off. And when the power's turned off, the pumps that pump the water so that there is water pressure were turned off also. I wonder who that was. And the irony of it all, that the fire looks just like the fire in Maui. Let's check on the Crip neighborhoods, because if the Crip neighborhoods are still up because they blue, we know. I don't care if you're blood, wear blue, play it safe, wear blue until this shit clears up. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Colors.
It's good to see that Eddie Griffin is still going. Let's see if this other comedian has any good information.
I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state. We want to make sure that the associated costs with that are not disproportionate, especially in a middle-class community like this.
You've also called for an independent investigation into the issues around water supply that we've seen. What are the questions that you're hoping to answer?
The same ones you're asking, same ones that people when I'm in the streets are asking, yelling about. What the hell happened? What happened to the water system? Was it, and by the way, was it just overwhelm? That you had so much that was used, we drew it down. Was it pipes? Was it electricity? It was a combination of pipes, electricities, and pumps. What was that drawdown impossible because you lost 7,000+ structures right here anyway, and every single structure we lost had a pipe that was leaking, and we'd have lost that water pressure anyway. Did it contribute in any way to our inability to fight the fire, or were 99-mile-an-hour winds?
I can get past the arm movements and bizarre body gestures, but that disingenuous smile is bothersome. Dozens of people are dead and missing. Thousands of homes are destroyed, and here we are, f***ing smiling. He is a masterful and well-practiced speaker and a salesperson. Sales 101, your smile will sell 99% of what you have to offer.
I want to know those facts. I want them objectively determined, and that the chips fall where they may. This is not about finger pointing.
You say what to people who insist that these independent investigations or calls for them? Are you passing the blame on to other people?
How could it be when we're doing an independent investigation and we just want the adjudication of the facts? As I say, it's not about finger pointing. It's about answering the questions you and everybody wants answered. And I think there's a propensity to wait to answer those questions, and people want immediacy. They want response and responsiveness. And so that's the idea.
You are the governor of California, our most populated and wealthiest state. Shouldn't you have the answers to these questions by now? Speaking of questions, the most powerful questions are coming right now. Pay very close attention to how he dodges.
Ultimately here, does the buck stop with you?
I mean, you're governor of California. You might as well be the mayor of California. We're all in this together. We're all better off. We're all better off. We're all better off. And we're working together to take care of people.
Well, it seems the over 150,000 Californians who are evacuated from their homes and homeless right now are not better off, better off, better off. And I want to help you answer the question. The answer is yes. The buck stops with me. Even the leader of a small business like a preschool would know the answer to that question. Let's rewind and watch that clip again. Aside from the buck not stopping with the governor, notice how he's setting some distance between him and the mayor of Los Angeles.
Ultimately here, does the buck stop with you?
I mean, you're governor of California. You might as well be the mayor of California. We're all in this together. We're all better off. We're all better off. We're all better off. And we're working together to take care of people and to make sure people are supported. We're empathetic. And we're here not just in the immediacy of the crisis, but we're here after the crisis, as opposed to creating a crisis in the middle of this by trying to divide people and play political, take cheap political shots.
Do you have faith in Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass?
I have absolute faith in our community. I have faith in our leaders. I have the faith of our capacity to work together.
Well, that's not a yes. Let's find out more about the 43rd mayor of Los Angeles. According to Wikipedia, Karen Bass was born in Los Angeles in 1953. She bounced around at universities from San Diego State to Cal State Dominguez Hills, and then ended up at the Keck School of Medicine at USC in 1982, graduating as a physician's assistant. And then she returned to USC to graduate with a master's in social work in 2015. Karen Bass entered politics officially in 2004 when she was elected into the California Assembly. After serving her maximum term, Bass was elected into the U.S. House of Representatives in 2010. She worked very closely with President Barack Obama on his re-election campaign and matters pertaining to economic trade with Africa.
Hello, everyone, and thank you to the government of Ethiopia and the African Union for hosting this AGOA Forum. For my family and me, the memories of our recent visit to Africa are still fresh. We'll never forget the hospitality and remarkable spirit of the people we met at every stop. As I said many times on that trip, this is a moment of great promise for Africa. The extraordinary talents of men and women all across this continent are being unleashed. Africa is rising, and in our global economy, more growth and opportunity in Africa means more growth and opportunity for everyone. AGOA has played a key role in supporting African growth. It's increased economic cooperation and trade between the United States and Africa, encouraged vital government reforms so more businesses succeed.
So I started taking a closer look at what AGOA is, and it appears to be the ability to take products and services from Africa and import them to the United States duty-free. As I scrolled through and looked at the list, there were a lot of uninteresting things here, such as seafood and manufacturing chemicals. However, there were a couple of things that I did find very interesting, such as alcohol, tobacco, and cocaine.
Congress is made up of 535 members, 100 senators, 2 from each state, and 435 members in the House of Representatives. My colleague Paul Cisco has more on one of those who is making a difference on Capitol Hill for U.S.-Africa relations.
My name is Karen Bass. I'm a member of Congress from Los Angeles, and I'm the ranking member or the lead Democrat from the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Africa.
Representative Karen Bass is serving her second term in Congress. She's on the House Judiciary Committee, and on the African Subcommittee, she has high hopes for the continent.
What I hope to accomplish in the next couple of years is the reauthorization of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, because it is my focus to focus on trade, to focus on the economies, for the United States to recognize that 7 out of 10 of the world's fastest growing economies are on the continent. So reauthorization of AGOA, as well as a change in the perception of the United States about the continent, so that we no longer look at the continent as one either natural or man-made disaster after another, and recognize that the continent is a land of opportunity. Africa is rising, and the United States needs to step up and not be behind.
She recently traveled to Africa on a fact-finding mission to Mali, South Africa, and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
We went from two situations that are very difficult, but I believe hopeful, to South Africa with its booming economy. The most important thing that can happen in Mali are the elections in July, a stable government, and addressing some of the root causes that led to the problem to begin with, which is the social and economic conditions of the country.
Representative Bass says she sees Mali and the Congo much the same way.
When you have a population that does not see a future, that is hopeless, that does not see any way for legitimate employment, then they turn to crime.
Meanwhile, back in Los Angeles,
Now at 5:30, a continued rise of murders and shootings in LA is causing community concerns, and it has families living in fear. NBC4 I-Team investigator Eric Leonard taking a closer look at this growing trend as the LAPD says its efforts to prevent more violence have been complicated by the...
Across the city, the tents stretch everywhere. From Hollywood to Venice Beach, scenes from what could be a disaster movie. Now, a seemingly permanent fixture on the streets of Los Angeles.
If you're not shocked by what you see, then I don't know what you would be shocked by.
People shooting up, urinating out in the open, vomiting.
Officials here last counted more than 66,000 experiencing homelessness in January 2020. But that was before the pandemic struck, and hundreds of thousands of Angelenos lost their jobs. Since then, our partners on NBC LA's investigative team have captured these images showing a situation spiraling out of control. Trash spilling into traffic, tents taking over intersections, stretches of the iconic Venice boardwalk now resembling a refugee camp. It's a reality no one is comfortable with.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the inauguration of Karen Bass as the 43rd mayor of Los Angeles.
Karen Bass is the first woman mayor and the first woman of color in the 241-year history of the city of Los Angeles.
The way forward is a road we make here, a path we cast forth today. For where there's will, there's women. And where there's women, there's forever a way.
I, Karen Ruth Bass.
I, Karen Ruth Bass.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Thank you, Los Angeles. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the trust. I am honored.
Now live, it's the mayor who ends this meeting early, about 10, 15 minutes after it began because of all the booing.
Your councilwoman, I believe, is taking a very brave stance.
The LA mayor hit with a chorus of hissing and boos. It's the emotional fallout after the LA City Councilwoman, Katie Yaroslavsky, unveils her plans for new housing for the homeless.
Our homeless people on our streets, many of whom used to be housed in our neighborhoods. When you see an encampment and you call our office and you say, do something about it, we literally don't have places for people to go right now.
Firefighters are facing a new wildfire that you see here in Ventura County, California. The auto fire began last night, forcing more evacuations. This makes 4 major wildfires we are tracking in the Los Angeles area. Officials say the Eaton fire is now 35% contained. The Palisades fire is still only 17% contained. The Hearst fire, on the other hand, is nearing 100% containment. The Santa Ana winds are picking up again today as particularly dangerous situation red flag warnings went into effect this morning and are projected to last through tomorrow. Wind gusts today have been so far as high as 74 miles an hour. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass outlined what fire crews told her after an aerial tour yesterday.
I had an opportunity to speak to the firefighters, including our chief. Firefighters who've been on the job for 25, 30 years, to say to me that in their entire careers, they have never seen destruction like this. They have never seen wind so fierce.
The bottom line right now, Brian, from the sheriff there is that the winds are picking up and they're only going to get worse over the next 24 to 48 hours. Your thoughts right now as we sit here?
Hey, Alicia, thanks for having me. Look, my feelings have gone from shock and trauma when at 5 a.m. early Wednesday morning, I'm forced to run out of my house with my teenage daughter, a 9-month-old child, a nanny with one pair of clothes for 3 days, and running to a hotel. So I was shocked and traumatized. Then I went through a feeling of sadness, right? Looking at those images, having people reaching out to me. I've known several people have lost homes, churches burned down, you name it, right? People's lives are just destroyed forever trying to rebuild. Then my feelings moved to outrage. Why? Because I hope Karen Bass gets up when you cover her press conference and announces her resignation today. She should resign and explain to everybody as well about this alleged leak memo as well, in which she wanted to cut the fire department budget another $49 million within a week before the wildfires. That's been reported. I haven't verified it. Also, let's ask Karen Bass a question for me. Why she agreed to pay the new head of the LA Department of Water and Power, a woman named Janice Quinones, almost $400,000 more than the prior head of DWP. Explain that. Maybe she could have used some of that money to hire more firefighters. And if she had gotten her way with another $49 million cuts in the fire department, guess what? 16 fire departments would have been shut down. And what about the Santa Ynez Reservoir? Is anybody investigating Quinones and Karen Bass for allowing that reservoir to drain 117 million gallons of water? This isn't fiction. This isn't politics. This is human decency. She allowed that to happen on her watch. One more point I want to make. On Tuesday night, when I'm sitting in my home in Pasadena and I'm hearing about winds predicted of 80 to 100 miles an hour, Alicia, that's hurricane force. Where was her team sitting there with the electric grid across all of LA County trying to figure out where to potentially turn off electricity to make sure lines don't go down? Because I think you're going to find at the end of the day, lines went down causing these fires. How are you not there with your team? Who gives a heck about Ghana? What is her butt doing in Ghana? Who cares about an inauguration in Ghana? Get your butt in town and take care of your people. And now we're dealing with what you're talking about. In Pasadena, we have contaminated water. Contaminated. People can't even drink water, can't shower. What is she doing about that? What is she doing about looting that's happening within 600 feet of where I hope my home is still standing? What's she doing about that? Why didn't she have the National Guard in place before this went down? Lisa, right. Look, I'm not trying to play. This isn't about politics. This is about, we live in an ecosystem in Southern California where it's well known about fires. It's well known about mudslides and earthquakes. You know that that's what you get when you want to become the mayor of Los Angeles. And you want to play these silly games about wanting to build homes for the homeless in LA instead of taking that money and taking care of people in LA County who have worked their whole lives to get homes. Take care of those people. Forget about your socially comfortable policies. I mean, we are outraged. Look, at the end of the day, she should be facing a recall. That's how I feel about it.
People are defending the mayor of Los Angeles, who was in Ghana when these fires broke by arguing, how was she supposed to know? Well, I'll tell you how she's supposed to know. Thursday, January 2, the National Weather Service warned about, quote, extreme fire conditions, close quote, over the next week in the Los Angeles area. Thursday, January 2, Jonathan O'Brien, a meteorologist with the U.S. Forest Service, spoke to officials and posted openly about the incoming threat, according to Breitbart. Same day, Thursday, January 2, O'Brien noted that weather models for Southern California showed a strong, extreme Santa Ana wind event starting Tuesday, January 7. Friday, January 3. Rose Schoenfeld, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Los Angeles office, gave a briefing that warned that lack of rain this winter season, coupled with forecasted strong wind, posed an imminent threat, end of quote. Saturday, January 4, quote, fire weather watches and high wind watches are in effect Tuesday through Friday next week, warned the Los Angeles National Weather Service. Saturday, January 4, same day, Karen Bass goes off to Africa to attend the inauguration of Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama. Monday, January 6, Gavin Newsom begins, quote, emergency preparations for the expected fire danger because he expected that brutal winds would create wildfires and additional firefighting resources, choppers, personnel were sent to Southern California. Monday, January 6th, Bass remains in Ghana. Monday, January 6th, Los Angeles Times warns of, quote, unusual, life-threatening, and destructive winds bring risk of winter fires, power outages to Southern California, end of quote. Monday, January 6th, same day, Bass remains in Africa. Monday, January 6th, the National Weather Service heads up a life-threatening, destructive, widespread windstorm is expected Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday morning across much of Ventura, Los Angeles County, end of quote. Same day, Monday, January 6th, Karen Bass remains in Africa. Tuesday, January 7th, Los Angeles hit with multiple deadly fires, thousands of homes and businesses burned, tens of thousands are forced to evacuate, fire hydrants run out of water, which was denied, by the way, by a local morning news anchor. More on that in just a second. Fire hydrants run out of water. Same day, Tuesday, January 7, Karen Bass remains in Ghana. Following day, Wednesday, January 8, wildfires worsen. Huge swaths of Los Angeles look like they've been hit by a nuclear bomb. The city lacks manpower, water, more evacuations, more fires. Same day, Wednesday, January 8, Mayor Bass finally shows up around noon and refuses to answer questions. We played that before. Let's play it again. Number one.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down?
David, as you...
He left off one question. Madam Mayor, what's the point in going to Ghana in the first place? Madam Mayor, don't we have crime in Los Angeles? Madam Mayor, aren't we down hundreds of police officers? Madam Mayor, don't we have an acute homeless problem in Los Angeles? Madam Mayor, the city is under budget, huge deficit. Why are you going to Ghana in the first place? For any reason. Madam Mayor, how does going to Ghana benefit Los Angeles? And speaking of crime, Madam Mayor, when you were running for the office, someone broke into your home and stole 2 firearms. And after you became mayor, Madam Mayor, in the mayor's house, someone broke in while you were there. Why in the world are you going to Ghana? What's the purpose? Going to Ghana. The school system in Los Angeles has been shut down for 2 years because of COVID. Kids have lost 2 years of education. The schools were already rated near the bottom in the state. Madam Mayor, what's the point in going to Ghana for any reason at any time?
The website Open Secret reports the net worth of Karen Bass at about $415,000 in 2018. And this actually seems a little low for someone who worked as a physician assistant, state assembly person, and a state representative, all earning 6-figure salaries. Well, here's some good news. According to this article from Kaklubindia, Karen Bass's net worth is somehow around $15 million. It reads, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is facing mounting questions about her financial dealings after reports emerged revealing her amassed wealth of over $15 million. Critics claim much of this fortune stems from her political career, with allegations of preferential treatment for donors who bankroll her extravagant lifestyle. Bass has reportedly enjoyed a string of high-profile trips on private jets courtesy of wealthy donors. In one instance, she flew to a policy summit in Paris aboard a Gulfstream G650 valued at over $10,000 per hour. During her stay, she was hosted at the Hotel de Crillon, where the nightly rate for her suite was an eye-watering $24,000. Another trip saw her visiting Dubai, where she attended a development seminar sponsored by a consortium of real estate developers. She stayed at the Burj Al Arab, one of the world's most iconic luxury hotels, in a suite costing $28,000 per night. Both trips, critics argue, were thinly veiled attempts by donors to curry favor with the mayor. In addition to these luxurious perks, Bass's personal real estate holdings have also raised eyebrows. She reportedly owns a $3.5 million estate in Beverly Hills, complete with a sprawling pool and state-of-the-art amenities. Another property, a $2.5 million home in Malibu, boasts oceanfront views in proximity to Los Angeles' elite social scene. Together, these properties are valued at $6 million, a significant jump from her modest roots as a community organizer.
We have an unemployment rate which is at least 30, sometimes 50% among minority youth. These young people who don't have a job have no hope.
Growing up in LA, this was my mayor, Tom Bradley. He was a huge baseball fan.
Strike three, you're out. The game is over.
You win.
Council one.
Yeah!
Mr. Mayor, what are the chances for a youth employment bill in Southern California?
Well, this bill now being considered by the Congress will greatly expand the youth employment program for the nation. The direct connection between unemployment and crime among youth. And certainly if we put people to work, they're not going to be forced into a life of crime.
Born in Texas and then moving to California, Mayor Bradley graduated from UCLA with his bachelor's while captain of the track team. In 1940, he joined the LAPD as one of 400 black police officers at a time that this agency employed 4,000 officers. After 23 years of service, Bradley retires from the LAPD as a lieutenant, entering politics as a Los Angeles city councilman. In 1973, the people voted Tom Bradley mayor of Los Angeles. Bradley held the office as mayor of Los Angeles for 20 years, longer than anyone else. An LA Times article from August 1989 portrays Mayor Bradley having a modest lifestyle, saving money on housing while living at the mayor's home owned by the city. He entered various unsuccessful investments. At the time of his death in 1998, after serving the people of Los Angeles for over 50 years, Mayor Tom Bradley's estate appears to have been worth less than $1 million, including 2 small homes in Los Angeles.
We're going upstairs to Chopper, and you saw the flames there. This is in the Jurupa Valley and in Riverside County.
This is the Santa Ana Valley River bottom. This was just upgraded to a 3rd alarm. We have seen that the area that we've been talking about, that is the area that's a particularly dangerous situation for the next day, was focused on LA and Ventura counties. We saw red flag concerns for Riverside and San Bernardino County, not the area of particularly dangerous situation. This right here, pretty big flames. Thankfully, right now, not immediately burning any homes or anything. You can see some of the crews that are out there with their flashlights trying to get out there and trying to put this thing out before it grows bigger. Don't know in terms of getting air resources on top of this thing, how quickly they might arrive and how many of them may be, in LA County dealing with all of the fires here.
We got wind gusts around 20 to 25 miles per hour right now. Yes, that's breezy, certainly not extreme, although this is one of the areas where the winds will be ramping up as we get into tomorrow and into Wednesday as well. And wow, just kind of impressive to see some of the groundwork right there as they clear some of that brush.
This fire is burning very close to where my family lives. I feel motivated. I feel compelled. I'm not sure exactly what it is I'm going to do, but I am coming. Flights are booked. I had to move around several things in my schedule to make it happen, but I am going to go out there and see what I can find. Very surreal seeing all those images of 100-mile-an-hour winds and the heat and all that stuff, especially while I'm standing out here in my own property and it's currently 11 degrees, and it's definitely an emotional time right now.